Hello, my name is Jennifer Campbell and I'm a teaching professor in the University of Denver writing program. In this video, I'm going to tell you a bit about ethos, the rhetorical appeals based on the credibility and character of the author or speaker. It's easy to remember these relationships if we look at the parallel triangles of the rhetorical triangle and then the appeals triangle, where we see how author and ethos are related. As defined here by Michael Burke, there are two types of ethos, situated and invented. Ethos is concerned with character. It has two aspects. The first concerns the esteem in which the speaker or writer is held. We might see this as his or her situated ethos. The second is about what a speaker or writer actually does linguistically in his/her texts to integrate him, herself with the audience. This second aspect has been referred to as invented ethos. Situated ethos and invented ethos are not separate. Rather, they operate on a cline. For example, the more effective your invented ethos is, the stronger your situated ethos might become in the long run, and vice versa. This passage is also a nice example of why using they instead of him and her might be a little smoother. Robert Jagielski explains that situated ethos is a function of a speaker's reputation or standing in a specific community or context. For example, a physician will have a certain credibility not only in a professional setting, such as a hospital, but also in the community at large because of the social standing of medical doctors. Some professions, like preschool teachers, professors, and pastors, have a positive situated ethos based on their roles within an organization and their reputation for being caring, dedicated, or not in it for the money. On the other hand, used car salesmen and personal injury attorneys must combat a negative situated ethos. And situated ethos can be mixed. A professor is really tough but fair, or easy but boring. People can also have different situated ethoi, yes, that's the plural, with different settings or groups. A drug dealer will be revered by his customers but reviled by the police. And an individual must maintain their credibility through consistent actions and messages. We've seen what happens if a prominent politician is caught in a scandal, especially if they were like on a family values platform or something like that. And we could see how their enemies would be happy to share the news of any misstep. You might want to think about like if a professor stopped returning your work or started skipping classes and saying mean things when they were there, students would lose respect and colleagues would as well. In these cases, not only would a person's ethos suffer, but it could even cause them to lose their careers. One's ethos can, fortunately, be improved through demonstrating regret or promising to change or do better and taking positive actions. A drug dealer who repented while in prison and started helping others upon release would have a far better ethos within the community. Everyone loves a good redemption arc, and that person could use their own experience to appeal to, say, potential donors of an after-school program. How the reformed convict tells their story brings us to invented ethos. By invented, we mean the author builds or diminishes ethos in each rhetorical situation. And when a writer or speaker isn't known to the audience, the content and craft of their work will determine what people think of them. Authors can develop positive ethos in a number of ways. For starters, they might state their own expertise or position directly. I started this video by mentioning that I'm a teaching professor in the writing program. If someone tells you they've worked in an industry for 30 years, you're likely to listen to the suggestions that they make for changes. Sometimes other aspects of a person's identity or background are relevant to their authority on a subject, such as when Black people in America explain their experiences with racism, or when a senior citizen describes how hard it is for them to navigate their benefits. Audiences can get clues to a speaker's character and trustworthiness if they describe their positive past actions or make references to shared morals or values. Also, a lot depends on style and delivery. Cicero wrote, "So much is done by good taste and style in speaking that the speech seems to depict the speaker's character. For by means of particular types of thought and diction, and the employment besides of a delivery that is unruffled and eloquent of good nature, the speakers are made to appear upright, well-bred, and virtuous men. Speakers gain ethos by adopting an appropriate tone and style for the situation, considering things like how formal a piece should be, and making sure that the level of vocabulary and use of jargon are accessible for the readers. In addition to creating your own ethos, you can borrow ethos by aligning yourself with or citing other reputable organizations and people. This credibility adds to your own while you show that you've done your homework. And of course, it's always important to give credit where it's due and use an appropriate style of citation. When you reference other people and integrate sources, you can actually shape how your audience perceives their ethos through how you introduce them, what I like to call rhetorically effective attributions. Consider the difference between the honorifics we bestow on positive prominent figures, like gushing over Keanu Reeves, compared to the many insulting attributions used by and against Donald Trump. Of course, referring to others respectfully and fairly introducing different perspectives establishes your own credibility and character. In academic writing, it's common to see something like, according to Dr. X, a rocket scientist for NASA, followed by a smart quotation and a parenthetical citation. And using a discipline or professor's preferred citation style is one more little way to establish your ethos as a good student or scholar. You shouldn't hesitate to ask professors if you have questions about their expectations. And of course, if you ever need help defining your own ethos or working with sources, you can make an appointment with the University Writing Center.